the mock game today?
We had a mock game, which I thought was really, really positive. It was twofold purpose. Number one, for me to just the mechanics of calling the defense, as well as working with the offense and special teams. You know, a lot of times when you do things in practice, you have to structure it to where you're not going ones versus ones or ones versus twos. It has to be offense versus scout team, defense versus scout team. So we put the scouts on one side of the field and we were on the other as a whole team. So to kind of really truly create a game day atmosphere to situations, move the ball. And I thought it was very, very good.
But you didn't have live hitting though.
No. We actually were just helmets only and spiders.
I guess just kind of, I mean, you've talked about for you how beneficial that'll be, just kind of running through all the different kinds of decisions and scenarios and things like that. I mean, how much do you feel like you got out of it?
It was a lot because, you know, you just go through even things that, as they happen, I wrote down notes of things you think of, you know, because really the key is those special teams transition plays. You know, the punt team, field goals, going for it on fourth down, you know, just where you're at on the field, use of the clock. And we got to have guys in the press box coordinating all that with me. So usually those are things that, you know, Kevin and I during this season would talk about, hey, going for it on fourth down, what do we think, and those kind of things. But that was the extent of it, of my input. And so here it's a matter of just, you know, making those decisions, you know. And sometimes today we simulated me being on the sideline, talking to the defense, making adjustments from that previous drive, and then, okay, 3 and out, we got to go back out again. And so we got to go over there on that third down and go, be right there with the offense, making those decisions about what punt to use and if we're going to go for it and all that stuff. So those are different things that we were able to, I think, iron out today.
What will you do when you're on offense? So you talk to defense for a little bit, then do you start going to the offense, or how do you?
Yeah, what I plan to do is I want to be, you know, we have the built-in headsets to flip back and forth. So I'll be able to talk to those guys, and more than anything, I'm not going to, you know, tell them what to call. But I do want to be in tune with what we're doing, and also in tune with just more the situation, you know, how we feel about, you know, going for things and what we want to do with the clock and all that stuff. So I think more than anything, it's I want to be, before I would be pretty much off to the side. Even when the offense, I really never watched a lot of the offense during our games. And it wasn't that we were always making those adjustments the entire time, but I just always kind of found myself, you know, going to that kid, this guy, coach, whatever. And so occasionally I would watch a little bit of the offense. So definitely be way more involved with the flow of the game. I want to make sure I have a pulse on that.
You mentioned yesterday having high school coaches in practice. I guess, what did you make of that? I mean, you could kind of reflect on it.
And a lot of positive feedback. You know, more than anything, I think the thing that they appreciate is just being, just the ability for them to feel welcome here. You know, that they can come and watch practice. You know, we able to allow them to sit in on our meetings and watch film with us. And, you know, because I always felt like that's how I learned the best, you know, was being able to just kind of sit in there, kind of be a fly on the wall and don't ask them a million questions, but just kind of just listen, take notes, you know, just try to learn, you know, because it's always about why you do what you do. That's how you can listen to a guy talk and give a clinic about running this coverage or this blitz or whatever, but it's always about the walk. How do you adjust this? What do you do when they do this? And so to sit there, I used to always just love to sit in the back and just listen to them talk to each other. And as questions came up, and then after, you know, take some notes and then ask them, you know, those questions myself one-on-one. So I always want to be able to give those guys the chance to do that when it's appropriate. So this is a great time, because a lot of times they can come during the spring, but very rarely can they come when we're getting ready for a game. You know, so bowl time gives us that. And I just wanted to make sure those guys know they were welcome, and we had a good time with them, had some food with them, so it was good.
I'm not sure if we've asked you before, but kind of what will the schedule be like in terms of practice and things like that once you get out?
Yeah, it's pretty set. You know, you go through and you know, a few weeks ago we met and went over the schedule, you know, and said this is when the teams practice. You know, we'll go to our side and they'll go to their side. And it's pretty much, because it has to all coordinate, obviously, with the bowl activities. And so every day you'll have a practice window of time, and you use it how you see fit. And like the very first day, the first full day we'll be out there, we'll get up in the morning and we'll have a practice. We'll go to our practice site and we'll have meetings to start with, and then we'll go kind of like a normal flow. You just got to get on the bus now to go to practice rather than walking outside. So you do that, and then you come back and you have meals, and then you have some bowl activity, you know, for that day. And then, you know, the interesting thing with this bowl is 2 of the days are Christmas Eve is one of them, and Christmas Day is another practice day, you know. So you're going to have practice on Christmas Eve and Christmas Day, but you have no choice. And but with that, we're going to have some opportunities for our guys to just enjoy Christmas in San Francisco and be able to go to, if they choose to, if they want to go to a Christmas service that they can choose to, for whatever their belief is. And so just allows us to be able to kind of be with our families, but you got to manage all that schedule with it.
You recently had one of your mentors, Coach Dahlhan, at team practice and speak to the team. I mean, just how much did that mean to you? And I guess what was kind of his message to the team?
Yeah, it means a lot, because when you talk about the opportunity I've been given here, and people always ask, who. Well, he's one of those main guys along the way that you really just have so much respect for, appreciation for, because he made a huge impact on my life, and not just as a man, but as a coach, in this profession, and he's so respected. And so, and a lot of guys use him to. He goes to pro teams, he goes to college teams and high school programs, and, have him come in and just kind of spend some time with them and evaluate what you're doing. And he's one of those guys that he has strong convictions about what he believes, and he's not bashful about telling you, which is pretty cool, because you want to know what he's thinking, so he'll tell you, the good and the bad, things that you really want him to help you get better. And he shared with the guys, and even a lot of them were like, man, that guy's got a ton of energy, he's 72 years old, and you never know it, but he gave him kind of a fiery, talk, but it was just to hear the things he was saying, things I've heard him say for a long, long time, but he believes in him, and I found him to be very, very true, but he was encouraged, and he loved what he saw, and we had a great time together.
I'm asking, so what were some of those things? What do you feel like you learned from him? What sticks with you, I guess, from your time?
He focuses on how your coaches teach. And he goes through and he's able to, he watched them practice and how they explain things, because he's obviously done this for so long, and he gets that component. You got to be a great teacher. And he's also, it's just the way that he has one quote that he always says that, the essence of coaching is the correction of errors, and that is so true, but it's how you correct, the style that you use and the way you handle the player to get him to be motivated to want to correct those mistakes in a good way, but then also in a standards are high, and you reinforce those. And so to me, simple things like that, and just even the drills that you do, he's always about making sure just going through these game type preparation type drills. You're doing the drill just to do a drill, and just going through even some technical things, from he's kind of a passing game quarterback kind of guy. That was his. When he coached at Purdue, he coached receivers, and was a special teams coordinator, as well at a couple college places. So just kind of being able to, talk about the things that he believes are true, no matter what level you're at, and I think that he even just the challenge of the players about, the process of becoming special and becoming great. And I took a lot of my things I believe now from him. The quote that he gave our guys about, conviction-driven leadership is based on the vision of perfection, and he really kind of explained what that really means, and how as a coach, that's you see what you want. You have that clear picture of what it's supposed to look like, and you have that standard that you set for that, and you don't let anybody rest until you get what you want. And to me, that just defines him. He was relentless in the way that he approached everything, and it made him really, really special.
How important is it to have an ally like that for the program? A guy who obviously knows everyone in the state like yourself.
Yeah, but I think it's tremendous. I mean, he is a guy that 100% behind us, and will do anything he can to help us. And I just think anytime you got people in that position that know so many, coaches, parents, so many people played for him and that are associated with the state or coached against him, and they have so much respect for him. So I just think it can be nothing but a positive for sure.
Do you have, I assume you have access to every game Utah played? I mean, how much, did you watch every game that Utah played, just bits and pieces of it?
Yeah, I will have, by the time we play them, I will have watched every single game. And I'm in the process of working through that. And you obviously have a core of them that you focus on, that you feel like kind of fit. The schemes fit what we do, so kind of, and then also you got to think about, sometimes they're so long ago that how are they similar to week 1, week 2, week 3, but you go back and you just want to make sure you haven't missed something, in all 3 phases, so yeah, by the end of this process, and some of this will be reserved for even the long flight, to be able to continue to go back and look at the little things that you see from those early games that they may be doing a little different now.
Well, what kind of makes them so good at taking away the ball defensively?
Their D-line. Yeah, they're just so disruptive that anytime you can force the quarterback to throw early, under duress, pressure him. Pressure affects everybody. you know. And so I think that that's their key.
When you look at Coy Cron's season, how unique is it to have a guy like that starting at left tackle, starting all
Well,
12 games, and getting the recognition he got?
Unusual, you know. I don't know that anybody would have, you know, projected that. You know, we thought he was going to be a good player for sure, you know, but that's a tough position to be a true freshman. You're just usually not physically ready to play on the line of scrimmage in the Big Ten at that age, you know. So I just think it's a tremendous attribute to, or you know, it's a tremendous thing on his part to be able to accomplish this. You know, I think that he's got a tremendously bright future for sure, and I think that he's a pretty special player. But he just, you know, he doesn't get too caught up in himself, and you know, he just kind of goes to work every day, and you kind of wouldn't even know that he's kind of done something that's so unprecedented, you know. So he's pretty special.
How much, when you balance that between a guy that young, say, playing as much as he has, or redshirt a guy and get stronger and stuff like that, how is he better for that? I assume he is, but long term, is he better? You know, by the time he's a senior.
Yeah, you know, I think that the philosophy is usually this: if they're good enough to play, and they're better than the guy in front of them, no matter what grade they're in, then they're going to play, you know. And I do think that kids today, by what most high school programs do in comparison to 10 years ago, they're so much more ready to play collegiately. That's why I think you're seeing a lot more freshmen contribute early. And just the year-round strength conditioning, even though he was a multi-sport guy, so he really didn't have a chance to do that as much as some would have. But I think it just shows you, you know, to his giftedness and how talented he really truly is. But I think that, you know, our philosophy is, hey, if a kid's ready to play, we're going to play him. You know, and I think there's definitely, you know, a advantage of redshirting a guy for sure. But I think every kid's a little different, you know, and I just think our approach has been the last several years. We've kind of got to the point where, you know, it used to be everybody wanted to redshirt everybody, you know, and then you're just kind of like, hey, these kids are ready to go, you know, and if they are and they can do it, then we're going to play them.
How gratifying was it for you to see Marcelino get that honor, being that when you came in, he was kind of like, you said, that was the guy you really targeted?
It was, you know, because sometimes you do all that, you target a guy, and you think he's going to be certain things, and it doesn't pan out that way. You know, we've been there before. You know, so you know, recruiting is a very inexact science. You know, I wish it was more sometimes, but you really don't know how a kid's going to respond. You know, and so to me, to be able to say, hey, we saw this kid, we saw these qualities that we're going to allow him to be a great player here, and it proved to be true. You know, so very, very gratifying for the evaluation process, and also for him, because he basically the things we told him that we believed he could do, he came and did, which is pretty cool.
From an offensive perspective, how much have you been able to lean on Mitchell Page and Ricky Jones just for the continuity?
Yeah, I mean, I think, you know, meeting with them, talking to them, you know, a lot, you know, and Dan the same way, Feeney, just because they're viewed a certain way in our program. You know, they've just earned that respect, you know, and so, and it's been neat for me to be able to, you know, lean on them to say, hey, you know, how we doing? How this, you know, talk to me about this, talk to me about that. And I think that you need guys like that, especially because I've been so focused on the defense the whole season that you need to, you know, and like I say, you know, Mitchell was the one that really kind of, you know, I think broke the ice and just kind of brought everybody together in that first team meeting, you know, just to say what we needed to do. So he's a pretty special guy.